Straw Hut Media.
I am so an advocate for do what you need to do to help your dysphoria, because I myself am going through that as well. And as a performer though, if it's something that aligns with you that you need to share, for example, like someone is like, this is all I want to do. I just want to play non-binary characters and that's all I want to do, then go for it.
Picture Aladdin from Disney's Aladdin in your mind. Now imagine that character as non-binary. It's a thought that feels kind of natural and also sparks magical possibilities. What about Gambit from X-Men? Can you reimagine that story? Our guest today, Donia Kash, not only imagined these scenarios, but also drew inspiration from characters like these to carve out their own unique path in the world of acting. Donia is a trailblazer who's breaking boundaries and redefining them. In 2022, Donia made a significant mark in television history as the first openly non-binary actor to lead a Hallmark film, portraying the character of Suzette in The Secrets of Bella Vista. Today, they share their insights from that groundbreaking experience. Then we delve into Donia's multilingual upbringing and discuss their personal journey into the world of performing, including their martial arts skills. We'll also talk to Donia about their new movie on Tubi, Slay, where drag queens take slaying to a whole new level when vampires attack.
I'm Donia Kash, and this is Pride.
I want to know a little bit about you, and not about your professional you, but about you. So tell me how you got into performing, where you grew up, that story, your story.
Oh gosh. Well, I was born in Greece. My parents are Persian. So they left Iran and, why not have a kid on the way? And I probably wanted to be in a Pampers commercial in Greece, but my parents were like, no bueno, we don't know what's going to happen. And I went, no, in my diapers. So I got the bug since then, and I went to Canada. I immigrated to Canada, and I used to do those mall performances. I used to do like mall performances thinking I'm like a Mortal Kombat, wanted to be like Sub-Zero or Scorpion, and wanted to like be this ninja.
Because you were into martial arts, is that right?
Yeah, I did karate in London, Ontario, and then I did taekwondo after that. So I did a bunch of martial arts growing up, thinking that's how performing and being a ninja is going to be, my ticket to the industry.
I mean, taekwondo has some flair to it, right? Like
a little flair, a little spin. Some
flipping and things.
Yeah, a little pas de bourrées and jetés, but, pay for it. Yeah, and then as I was growing up, I took it seriously, went to theater school. I did I did a lot of theater, and then finally I learned about film and television and how to get into that. So it was just quite a bit of a journey, because I come from that generation where no one tells you anything. You just got to figure it out.
Yeah.
So that's like in a nutshell, all the different little things that got me to where I am today.
Well, and getting into entertainment is not something you can YouTube and get like good information on, right? You can't just YouTube like, how do I become television star? And you get something good.
Where do I audition? And then it's like, here's a scam, pay us 30 grand. And I'm like, oh, where?
You need new headshots too.
Yeah, every day. Every day you need new headshots.
Well, because your look changes daily. So makes sense when you really think about it. So you used the YouTube, you figured out how to audition for television, and then you made history as the first openly non-binary actor to star in a Hallmark film in 2022. So tell me a little bit about that, The Secrets of Bella Vista. What did it feel like knowing you were going to make history?
I honestly didn't know. I always wanted to... The thing I appreciate about Hallmarks is that who doesn't want to celebrate love? I think people sharing the fact that the only problem is to find love is the best acting experience as an actor, to just be like, oh, what do you want me to do today? Oh my God, tell my friend to go after the guy. Sure. Oh, I get a wife? What? And a baby on the way? And I didn't have to traumatize myself? Crazy. That's wild. So I had no idea. And then when I got cast and all of this was happening, it actually brought this other side of me, like so much tears came into my eyes. I was like, oh, wow, this is what it feels like to have that happy ending all the time. And nothing is something that we need to talk about that we're wronged or shamed for. We're actually just celebrated and loved freely. And with Secrets of Bella Vista, just to be that supportive character, and then going into Hearts in the Game, being, you know, the comedic relief, yet being that non-binary character. It was fantastic.
Now, in terms of non-binary characters, I think of like Susie Theo from Sabrina, right, on Netflix. And like you said, that's a pretty traumatic role, really. Like the character arc of that character is dark and sad and has a lot of turmoil. And it feels like a lot of LGBTQ roles, but specifically non-binary roles, are kind of rooted in trauma. So finding something that's not is like, oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It was like, what do you want? Oh, you want me to just hang tight with your parents and eat popcorn, and that's just normal, and we don't have to have a big spiel about it? Okay, I'm in. Yeah, hit me up.
So you grew up speaking a lot of languages. And by a lot, I don't know how many a lot is. I'm just going to say a lot, and then you can correct me and be like, well, it's actually this many. But how do you think that shaped the way that you relate to the world and even into storytelling?
I grew up learning English, French, Farsi, a little bit of Greek, and yeah, I think I'm like looking at my fingers. I think that's pretty much it. And what's been interesting is I used to construct sentences in all of those languages because each word meant something different in my brain or my feelings. And that translates into the arts really well, because when I look at a piece of art or a text or stories, it's not just the words. It's not just what's in front of you. I have to I get excited, and it's like a puzzle, and then I start looking into what's going behind it, you know, from something being like a comedy and people having a lot of laughs, but it has to have so much truth behind it. And I am very grateful that I learned all these languages at the same time, because in my process, I'm allowed to tap into all of that, and I'm allowed to just be like, oh, I know what this feels like in this. And then I'm like, okay. And then I have to translate it. So yeah, it's been really connecting the dots. It's been super fun.
I guess when you think about it, all of our experiences are really, the guardrails are the language that we speak. So having 4 of them to go off of, it gives you a lot more leeway into how you interpret everything that we experience, love, all sorts of things.
Yeah. And even when I look at other languages that I don't know, it evokes curiosity in me, and I want to be like, oh, and I go down that rabbit hole, like, oh, this is what oh, okay, you know, like Everything Everywhere All at Once, or Joyride. When I was watching all these movies and they have nothing to do with my culture, I'm like, this is hilarious because I can understand and appreciate their cultures.
Now, in terms of how you found your way into performing, did you, obviously we talked a little bit about martial arts and performing as Sub-Zero, right? Or inspired by Sub-Zero or Mortal Kombat. But just to get an idea of kind of when you grew up, did you feel like you were going to have to pigeonhole yourself into auditioning as a specific gender performance as opposed to non-binary characters? Because that really is something, I mean, I think we can go back the last 8 years or so, and there's a lot of non-binary characters in movies and television, in terms of a lot considering how many there were before that. But did you feel like you were going to have to adhere to gender norms?
So yes, growing up and being in this industry and people telling me, leave your, I used to have long hair, and people are like, don't cut it, don't cut it, don't cut it. And this fear of don't do this, don't do that, stop, don't let anyone get to know you. And that was kind of polarizing, because I think what makes people so amazing are who they are and what they can bring to roles. And I'm not trying to say for those who have chosen to make those decisions, I'm like, those guys, they do, you do you, hon. If that brings you joy, you do you. But for me, playing straight characters, I had to do that, and kind of grateful because I can. I'm like, yeah, I can play straight. I've pretended to play straight for X amount of years. And now with things switching up, things opening up, things changing, and me looking, a gorgeous 21
and a half.
And a half, 3/4. So it's been great to have an opportunity to relive all these stories and embrace it in the way the writing is today. Like all these cute stories with like the politician and like all these great queer characters coming out, non-binary characters coming out, agender characters coming out, and being like, oh, okay, it's not an acting choice. The acting choice is going to be who this character is. It's just who we are playing these characters.
We have to take a quick break, but when we come back, Donia will tell us why their role as a non-binary character has allowed people to better explore what it means to be non-binary and take a second look at what loving someone really means. Welcome back to Pride. Donia is a great example about the power of stories and the people who play their characters. It doesn't matter who puts on a costume to bring Aladdin or Sub-Zero to life. What matters is that their story is being authentically told. I think there's a lot of roles out there, but how often do you encounter roles that you audition for or even that you read for where the non-binary aspect of the character is there and it's important, but it's not necessarily part of like, and then you come out as non-binary,
Yeah. I hear, like quite often, to be honest, like quite often, or I see a character and they're like, they are non-binary, but we never dive into their stories, which I'm like, dive into their stories. Let's get to know them, or here's the thing, who we identify as, how we identify as is different from who we fall in love with. And I think sometimes people tend to put them together. You could still be non-binary and be part of the story, and they think, I love that. And then they're like, what does that look like? Or let's bring something that the third genders are so smart at doing, Yeah, I've even played characters where it's like, that's who they are, but we don't know anything else.
Yeah. There's something I think more interesting about characters that are non-binary or gender non-conforming, or even trans characters. I think of like Evil Dead Rise, where it is an obvious aspect, like audiences are not dumb and they will catch on to it, but it's not something where they have to be like, it becomes like a part of an unnecessary part really of the story. It's like the story is there without being hit over the head with it. Yeah,
like let them just be part of it. Like they're here. Okay. Like what I loved about Slay is that Jaxie's gender non-conforming, non-binary, but we don't need to know anything else other than them being a part of a huge team and they all belong, like it's fantastic.
Okay, tell me a little bit about Slay. I haven't actually seen it yet. I know it's on Tubi. I know it's about drag queens slaying vampires, which actually makes a lot of sense. Maggie and I were just talking about that, like, oh, that makes sense. They would slay them because that fits. Tell me a little bit about that. It's kind of in that supernatural camp genre.
Okay, hands down, I will say all of y'all, grab a bag of popcorn this weekend, or not even, on a gorgeous Thursday night. Watch it, because a lot of people go, I have a lot of folks that are like, oh, vampires are not my thing, or I get scared really easily. I'm like, just watch this film. Jem wrote and directed this fantastic, yes, camp, but the fight sequences are off the hook. People are just stabbing, stopping, punching, screaming. The writing and the comedy and our ad libs and our improv is just insane, especially for like something that it's on a scale of how much we did in such a short amount of time. Like, I will say a lot of people really enjoyed it, and I had the best time ever. Working with Trinity Tuck, Heidi and Closet, Crystal Method, and Caramel have been fantastic. I'm hoping for a sequel. I'm just saying, I'm putting it out there. And yeah, like, it is camp. It is, but it's also really good. Like the prosthetics, like it gives a mosh to Buffy. It gives some mosh to Twilight. It gives some mosh to anything that you've ever seen growing up. And you're like, this is all in one movie. This is fantastic.
Did you get to do martial arts?
Oh yeah. I was like, hey, Jem, I know you wrote me as hiding under the table, but me and the stunt team choreographed the whole fight sequence. Can I just show you? And can we put in? And they were like, you did what? And I'm like, let me just show you. And so, yeah.
And it made it in?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you be a slayer or a vampire?
I really wanted to be a vampire, but you know what? Now that I've been through it once, man, I think being a slayer is where it's at, you know, like just being one with the team. I just couldn't do the teeth.
The teeth? Yeah, okay. I mean, there's a lot of downside, right? Eternal youth, that's nice, but you already have it. And the other parts really suck, you know, like getting fried in the sun sort of thing.
Yeah, like unless if we glitter in the sun.
Like Twilight.
But I could not, like I need a tan. Like I need a tan. So I don't know how I would do with that.
Yeah. So was there any character from your childhood that you saw on screen and identified with growing up that may or may not have been, you know, coded as non-binary, but like what was your first memory of a character where you were like, that's what I want to do?
Man, who would have been non-binary that I would have grown up with? Because for me, I would have just made characters non-binary. Like I made Aladdin non-binary.
I can see that though, right?
Yeah, I made Aladdin non-binary.
Like Aladdin covers their titties a little, but sometimes you're like, oh, maybe? I don't know.
Maybe. You never really see it. And obviously, anyone who wore a mask, I kind of fit into those characters like Power Rangers, Mortal Kombat, the Ninja Turtles.
Oh, the Power Rangers, didn't even think about it. They're all non-binary when they're in there. Yeah.
Right? Everybody's wearing a skin tight suit. Everyone's got a helmet on. And dope metal. We don't like, here we go. It's morphin' time.
Exactly. Tell me a little bit about your short film, Catch Up With Me.
Oh, okay. So Catch Up With Me was a story that I wanted to tell because I went to all these film festivals and I was like, man, people are falling in love so fast. And people on screen fall in love so quickly. IRL, we don't. IRL, cringe. IRL, I die on a date. Or even the thought of figuring out if someone is batting on the same team as me or not.
You're like, that alone took an hour and a half, just figuring that out.
That's it, right? Like, I'm like, okay, so we need to just see a moment between two people that you just want it to stop. You want it to end and you want them to say, this is not working, even though, you know, God bless, the only thing they come out with is just accepting themselves of where they are at. And that's the best part, or where they dream to be. So I created this little short film just to showcase, and that pull, that really slow pull of like, it's hard. It's hard to know who does what happens when it's two, you know, folks that maybe are born the same gender, or one's non-binary and one's maybe identifies as queer. So yeah, I just wanted to showcase that short film as cringy as possible.
What is your long-term goal? Is your long-term goal filmmaking and creating those stories, or do you want to continue doing what you're doing, or both?
I want to continue what I do right now, but yes, it both would be the best case scenario because I have so many ideas. I write them all down, and I'm more of a like collaborative mindset, like the honeycomb mindset, where everyone has their strengths and let's put them together just to tell the best stories, because it's going to change, especially someone who might be younger, or someone might go through something, or folks that are like, oh my God, I just saw something that put language into what I'm going through, or stories that are important to tell. And so eventually I'm hoping I do both. Do this badass in front of the camera and then be like, hey guys, let's work together and make something amazing for the next generation.
So you said you're ready to do Slay 2.
Absolutely.
With hopefully more iconic queens. And the more I think about that, can you imagine being a Slayer with a tuck? The worst. Last year, Ryan was on set with me with Laguna Blue. And no joke, Laguna was tucked and in drag for probably 16 hours and was totally fine at the end of the day.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I saw a tutorial for tucking and what? I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it. I'm like, somebody better get some heavy duty cream.
You're going to need it. Yeah.
You're going to need it.
We have to take another quick break. Next, you'll hear about Donia's journey through feelings of gender dysmorphia and how actors like Elliot Page and Liv Hewson can pave a path for more and more people to be proud to be exactly who they are. Stay tuned. Welcome back. The Hollywood love story is often nothing more than a cliche. And as we last heard, Donia felt that these stories really didn't ring true. Their short film focused on telling a more realistic and even cringy love story. A question that I have that we didn't actually go through in prep for this, but I wanted to know what you thought. And you kind of triggered me when you talked about people not wanting you to cut your hair when you're auditioning or when you're going out for roles. There are a lot of non-binary actors now that are having top surgery or, gender confirmation or things that help them with dysphoria. Is that even a conversation anymore?
I am so an advocate for do what you need to do to help your dysphoria, because I myself am going through that as well. And as a performer, though, I just think if it's something that aligns with you that you need to share, for example, like someone is like, this is all I want to do. I just want to play non-binary characters and that's all I want to do, then go for it. Personally, I want to break that binary mindset. Being a non-binary person, breaking a non-binary mindset and letting me transform into those characters that straight people have played for years, and for us to have a leg up in that and be like, we have gone through this, you know the story really well, and my journey to my own body dysmorphia and my own dysmorphias is for me, and I can use that as an actor. Yeah, I don't know if that answers totally.
It does. Are there any non-binary actors? And I'm thinking I love Liv Hewson. And I won't say who, but one of the people in this room, they live near them. And I was so envious of it. You have no idea. I would wait outside waiting for Liv. I loved Santa Clarita Diet. I canceled my Netflix when they canceled that fucking show. I was so irritated for 6 months. I didn't care what came out because I loved that show. Is there a non-binary actor that you really look up to and, their career? Obviously Yellow Jackets, Liv Hewson, come on. But yeah.
You know what? I will say, I know they're more of a trans, they are trans. And I'm watching Elliot Page's. I read Elliot Page's book, and I don't know, it brings me so much fucking joy, because it's like, you are someone who has been under a microscope, and now you're paving the way for all of us to have our stories, and they're using their magical powers for good, and he's so kind and so down to earth, and I just think his journey is bringing more of us out. I will say, I'm just trying to I fucking love Asia from what's that show?
It's from Billions.
Yes, Billions.
Yeah, on Showtime, I think, yeah.
Oh, The Presence.
I know.
The Presence. I'm like...
Well, Asia was the villain in one of the John Wicks, too, and it just worked.
Yeah. Just the way they carry themselves, I'm like, okay, all right, here we go, okay. And
do you have a dream role or a dream story that you would love to tell? It could even be a character who is a cisgender or, adheres to the binary in canon, like X-Men, I don't know. But maybe they could be reimagined as a non-binary.
Yeah, I would love to be Gambit in X-Men.
Okay, I could see Gambit.
I could be Gambit. Okay, if we just have to remake everything. Okay, I'll be Gambit in X-Men. I'll do Aladdin.
Obviously.
I'll do Aladdin. And it's funny because you're just evoking them, is this possible? Could we do this?
Yeah, I would play Jean Grey, obviously.
Yes, you would.
Yeah. And I'm not moving a pencil. I'm like throwing cars at people. I'm not dicking around with a needle.
And your Cyclops, just get it on. You guys get it on. But yeah, I would love to do all of those films. And then things like working with like the folks who made Triangle of Sadness, like just something where I'm like super rich. And then like all I'm talking about is how inequality is in our society, and I'm like smoking. And then I'm a big CEO of like a big shit company, and then like actual shit, like Manila.
I can't remember what I was watching the other day. Someone was smoking and I literally looked over at my boyfriend. I was like, this makes me want to start smoking. Like, it looks good. It looks cool. It looks like this is what I should do.
You know what? That's the role. Anyone who's smoking.
Anyone who smokes and makes it look good.
That's it.
And lastly, is there anything you're working on right now that you are excited for audiences to see besides Slay? And where can everyone follow along with your journey?
So I'm working on something right now, and I can't talk about it, but it is super exciting. I can't really talk about it just because of things that we sign in our lives. But it's been such an amazing experience. And to follow me, I have an Instagram handle, Donia.Kash. That's my handle, and IMDb, I guess.
Stick there. There's a great reel, a little sizzle reel going on.
Well, it probably needs to be updated.
And the headshot with the curly hair, it was very Gambit. So you're channeling that's the right vibe.
Me's ready. So yeah, I'm doing that. And then if you guys are in New York next weekend, I will see you in New York for the GLAAD Awards.
Oh, you're going to the New York GLAAD Awards. Are you presenting? Are you doing something fancy? Are you attending? You're on the carpet? What's happening?
I'm going to be attending. My partner is actually in the first lesbian Hallmark movie. So I'll be celebrating that and kikiing at the table, just be like having the best time ever.
Have you been to the GLAAD Awards?
Yeah, we went for the first gay Hallmark movie, which I was in with Jonathan Bennett.
Oh, not Single All the Way. No, that's the Netflix one. What was the name of it?
Is it called Manny for Christmas, or is it called?
Oh, that one. Yes, I remember that one. Yeah.
So that was my first time ever, and that was like,
the food is great.
The food is fantastic.
Just the food. That, and like when you're just having dinner and you're like, it's Julia Roberts. That's kind of cool.
Right? You're like, oh, Idina Menzel right next to me. Hello, can you sing for me just for?
Yeah. You just don't want to be too awkward. Like you sit down and you're like, oh, so nice. Love your work. Could you sing Let It Go? Start now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try not to be too cringy. But thank you so much for coming on today. And everyone will have to tune in to Tubi to watch Slay and all of your Mortal Kombat moves. And hopefully Gambit in the MCU.
Let's put it out there. If it's out there, you get a ticket.
Manifest that shit. If you get it, I better.
All of you get tickets.
Yep. Thank you very, very much for coming on the pod.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been such an exciting journey. Thank you. This is so much fun. Thank you so much, Leva.
Pride is a production of Straw Hut Media. If you like the show, please leave us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Then, follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, the app formerly known as Twitter, and Snapchat @Pride, and tune in weekly for more episodes. Be sure to share this episode with your friends and subscribe for more stories from amazing queer people. If you'd like to connect with me, you can follow me everywhere @Levi Chambers. Pride is produced by me, Levi Chambers, Maggie Bowles, Ryan Tillotson, and Brandon Marlowe, and edited by Daniel Ferreira.